What's going on, Jerome's? All but two Week 4 NFL games are in the books. We're watching Chiefs-Bucks right now. It just kicked off. And then whatever's on Monday Night Football. Oh, Rams-Niners. Yeah, but here are 10 things we learned about Week 4 so far. And this is going to be, actually, no, 12. Miscounted. Whatever. Let's get in. Number one. The Eagles are still the best team in the National Football League. Hard to say, but it is what it is. So they won at home 29-21 against Jacksonville, and the Jaguars have been very plucky. I think that the Jaguars are on the upswing, but Philly, the only 4-0 team in the league. They're tough. They're absolutely physical in the trenches. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. Jalen Hurts is extremely hard to defend because once you take away the pass, he's going to run. Once you run, he's going to throw. Miles Sanders. Plus, they have a lot of weapons, man, like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. They're all getting after him, man. But Miles Sanders, $134 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So, yeah, the Eagles, you feel a little bit better as a Vikings fan about the Week 2 debacle, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see the playoffs, bros. Next up, thing number 2 that we learned. The Bills are still the team to beat in the AFC. Now, a little bit of shine came off the luster. The Week 3 loss against Chiefs just scored. The Week 3 loss against the Dolphins down in South Beach. But heat was an issue, injuries were an issue, but sort of is what it is. The Bills, even though they are really tore up in the secondary at this moment in time, I think that they still are the team to beat in the AFC, even though the Chiefs are looking good as of right now. But going into Baltimore and you're down 20-3, you erase a 20-point deficit. And I mean, Josh Allen, it wasn't pretty, but they still absolutely got it done. That's a big time win on the road against a very good Ravens team. And also Lamar Jackson just looking good too, except for the 2 interceptions. Yeah, about that. Next up, thing number 3 that we learned, it's Cooper Rush season. So the whole, Dak. When Dak took over for Tony Romo, that was sort of whatever. Tony Romo was at the end of his career, and Dak Prescott, 4th round pick out of Mississippi State, just made sense, right? But yeah, you have Cooper Rush just coming in. I mean, Dak is in the prime, should be in the prime of his career, signed that big contract, and Cooper Rush is moving the football. They're looking pretty damn good, man. They're 3-1, getting it done, a couple wins in a row. I mean, Dak could be back as soon as next week. Maybe he's going to rush back because he sees, pun intended, because he sees Cooper's like, oh, I better fight for my job, otherwise this ginger's going to take it over. I don't know, man. Next up, thing 4 that we learned. The Colts might be boned. So the whole Matt Ryan experiment, the whole, hey, let's just put a Band-Aid on the quarterback position ever since Andrew Luck, the corpse of Phillip Rivers, 11 wins and went to the playoffs. That's nice. Carson Wentz, not so much. And then Matt Ryan, Frank Wright, maybe, he may be fired. I think he's done a great job, but he may be gone. About 24-17 loss at home against Tennessee, and it was not as close as the final score suggests. Also, Jonathan Taylor Thomas got dinged up, and I would certainly know because my fantasy teams. Also, Matt Ryan. Anytime Matt Ryan is throwing more than 50 times a game, it's not good. That ain't good. That's a pure sign of catch-up mode and desperation. So things may be changing in Indianapolis. Next up, thing number 5 that we learned about Week 4. The Lions scored 45 and they lost. Where defense was definitely optional in the Seahawks versus Lions game. I mean, they point out it was scoreagami. This final score had never been before, but 48-45, the Lions lose. They're still among the highest scoring teams in the league, but I don't know, man, because I'm in a reverse survivor pool, so you pick the losers, right? And I picked Seattle because I thought Seattle was massively overhyped, and I thought Detroit would get up off the mat after the Vikings loss and show up and show out at home, but the defense was non-existent, and frankly, the Seahawks were in control this entire way. I watched most of this game, and they were ahead 8 or 16 most of the way because the game was not as close as the final score indicates. But man. Next up, thing number 6 that we learned from Week 4. The Bears are ass. Thank you. Especially that offense. Like, are you absolutely bleeping me? So they go into New York, and Danny Dimes get hurt, and then Tyrod Taylor gets hurt, and they can't take advantage of a team with no quarterback. They had Saquon running the Wildcat back there, man. But this is honestly one of the most anemic offenses I've ever seen. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like, at some point, you either unleash Justin Fields or you don't. But trying to not get overconfident head into week 5 because we know that the Vikings will play down to the Bears and it'll be a near run thing at US Bank Stadium, but this is yikes. This is yikes, man. Next up, thing number 7 that we learned from week 4, Panthers are hot garbage. So how many passes at the line of scrimmage does Baker Mayfield get knocked down? And I don't even think it's a height thing. Maybe it's an awareness thing. Maybe it's a timing thing. I don't know. But, I mean, the Panthers were sort of riding high after that win against the Saints at home, but then the Cardinals came in, pulled away in the second half. Kyler, some self-induced injuries early on through the pick 6, but 26-16 win on the road is pretty good for the Cardinals and the Panthers. And the offense is just not inspiring. And they're just hoping that Christian McCaffrey is going to put his cape on. Baker Mayfield is not the answer. Sam Darnold is not the answer. Matt Corral probably isn't the answer either. So, I don't know. I understand that the owner, David Tepper, has given Matt Rule the vote of confidence, which is always the first sign that you're going to be fired. So, we'll see. Next up, thing number 8 that we learned from week 4. Aaron Rodgers is washed, man. So, now the Packers technically won the game in overtime, 27-24. Whoops, typo. 27-24. Stupid Packers and their stupid faces. I was just saying, hey, Patriots, one time, man. One time. But so Rodgers threw that pick 6. I mean, that thing just hung there like a hanging curveball. And he couldn't put the Patriots away like Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back NFL MVP, is supposed to do. Blah, blah, blah. He's relying on the running game. And if he didn't have Rashawn Gary to bail his ass out a couple times against a third-string quarterback, I mean, this is not your dad's Packers team. And for that, we thank you. Yeah. Next up, thing number 9 that we learned week 4. Steelers are a bad team, man. So they lost 24-20 at home against the Jets. Zach Wilson hitting the gritty after catching a touchdown. It's just really thin times. And you benched Mitchell Trubisky-Ponder because you didn't know it was Mitchell Trubisky-Ponder. So they put in Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett not looking too great either, but give the kid a full week of practice. But, I mean, I understand that the Steelers and Tomlin are really sort of like, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. They're in jeopardy. If they didn't get that fluke week 1 win against the Bengals, they may be an 0-for candidate. And that's not even being hyperbolic, man. I mean, maybe once they get TJ Watt back, except he won't be 100%, with his strained torn pec. But I don't know. It's just really, really ugly times in the Steel City. Next up, thing number 10. Dolphins need to answer some questions. So, of course, it all goes back to the Tua. Why was he out there in the first place? And I know that the league has already, they fired the medical guy. I'm really good with words. The independent neurologist or whatever it is. But if an overhaul of the system has to come into place, yeah, it has to come into place. Because if they truly did check all the boxes and they followed the letter of the law, sure. But it should be more about the spirit of the law, or they need to change the laws where you have to protect players from themselves. And Tua's a tough dude. He wanted to be out there for his team, but can't do it, man. Can't do it. And poo-poo on the Dolphins for letting it happen too. Next up, thing number 11 that we learned about week 4. Bailey Zappy is legit. So the pride of Western Kentucky, the Hilltopper, he dropped some dimes, man. He made some really nice throws in a losing effort against Green Bay, whatever. But after Brian Hoyer went out, Bailey Zappy came in. Very few practice reps. Mac Jones already down, but pride of Western Kentucky, man, 10-15 for 99 yards and a touchdown. Now he did have some absolute brain fart, completely unaware moments, but a lot of that was the Patriots offensive line. Isaiah Wynn, probably his worst game that I've ever seen, the pride of Georgia. But I actually think that Bailey Zappy might be a little something, right? And he's not the biggest guy in the world. He doesn't have the strongest arm either, but he was thrown with anticipation, and that's really impressive when you're on the road in Lambeau, having just that character and that fortitude to just stand in there and not crumble. I mean, you see quarterbacks that have been in the league 2, 3, 4 years that still don't have that sort of it. You know what I mean? So I love me some Bailey Zapp, man. Lastly, thing number 12 that we learned week 4. Justin Jefferson is back, baby. That's right. Oh, the buck 84 and 2 touchdowns against Green Bay week 1, getting erased by Darius Slay, and then Jeff Okudah and the Lions double and triple team and whatever. But the 28-25 win versus New Orleans, 10 catches for a buck 47 on 13 targets, also had a rushing touchdown. But he destroyed Marcus Lattimore. absolutely put one of the best cornerbacks in the league on skates, and it was just impressive, man. So Justin Jefferson is absolutely back. He's still on pace for 1,600 plus yards receiving as we scroll down. So you put the league on notice. Say 18 is back, baby. And now if the Vikings can just stop leaving points on the board, we'll take it. We'll take it, man. But that's it. That's 12 things that we learned about Week 4 before Sunday Night Football, which is going on right now, as well as before Monday Night Football. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.